What's going on, everyone? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use my free Mogrt Bouncify. On the surface, it's pretty simple, but there's a lot of customization options you can choose from, and it might get a little confusing. So I'm making this video to go over it so you guys can get your images bouncing, get them animated, however you like. So once you've imported it into your graphics templates folder, you are good to go. Put it in any of your projects. I've put an animation on there by default that I think looks pretty cool. Wow. But let me show you how to change it. Once you select your Mogrt and you go to the Properties tab in Premiere, you will see all the options that it has for you. I'm going to go down top to bottom, show you what it's all about. So first option is very simple, just a motion blur checkbox. If you want to have motion blur on your thing, check it. If you don't, uncheck it. There you go. That simple. The next two options, duration and overshoot amount, are also pretty self-explanatory. The shorter the duration, the quicker the animation is going to be. The longer the duration, the longer it's going to be, right? So if I set the duration to half a second, let's say, it's going to scale up all slow, bounce a little bit. If I set the duration to be pretty low, it's probably going to go crazy. Yep, super bouncy. If you don't want it to be as bouncy, you know, you can turn down the overshoot amount and then it won't be as bouncy. If you're getting a little crazy, you want it to bounce even more, go for it. Turn it up. It's going to bounce even more. Look, this one, it's going crazy. It's going wild. For now, I'm just going to put those back to default and move on. So the next tab you're going to see is the image. You'll click these three dots right here, replace from Explorer, and then choose any image you want. All right, next, we're going to look at the scale options. The first two, pretty self-explanatory. You have a start S and an end S. Start scale, end scale. Right now, it's set to start at 0 scale, and it'll end at 100% scale. And that's exactly what it does. Starts at 0. Ends at 100. Adjusting the start does exactly what it says. It'll change the scale of the start. So now it's going to be 50% scale, and then it'll go to 100. Exact same thing for the end. If you turn down the end, it's going to be a little bit smaller at the end of the animation. Next, we have the frequency for the scale and the decay for the scale. The frequency you can think of is just how frequent the bounces are in the animation. So right now it's set to 2. If I set this down to 1, you can see that it won't bounce as much in the scale. And if I set it super high, you can see it'll be super bouncy. Super frequent bouncing. You turn it up all the way up to 5. Super bouncy. And for the decay, you can think of it pretty similarly to the duration of the actual animation, but individually for the scale property. So if I lower the decay amount, the amount it's going to decay over time is going to be smaller, which means the animation is going to last longer, if that makes sense. Right now it's set to 3. You can see the animation doesn't last too long. Right about there, it ends. But if I lower the decay time, you'll see that the bouncing of the scale will continue to go on for much longer. There we go. Conversely, if I bump up the decay, you'll see that it'll basically instantly stop. Now, let's move on to the rotation. The rotation is going to be essentially the exact same as the scale property. You can see we have a start and end rotation property. Right now, it's starting at 33 degrees and it ends at 0. If I change the start to something crazy like 360, it's going to start fully spun around and then it's going to end up at 0. So it's going to be super spinny, as we can see right there. And just like the scale, there's also a frequency for the rotation and a decay for the rotation. This works the exact same way. So everything I taught you about the scale would work the exact same for the rotation. Now I'm going to set the rotation to 0 and I'm going to set the scale also to not do anything. So right now, since I've set the start and end scale to 100 and the rotation are both start and ending at 0, nothing's going to happen. If I click play right here, the animation does nothing because I'm going to show you how to use the position properties. So if we take a look at the position properties, you can see we are set in the middle of a 2K composition. So a 2560 by 1440 composition. If you're working in, let's say, a 1080p sequence, you would simply just change the start and end for the X to whatever 1920 divided by 2 is, 960. And then you do the same for the Y. So the Y would be 540 instead of 720. If you don't want it to be in the middle, well, perfect, because that's exactly what these sliders are for. You can move them left and right, and that's exactly where the animation will start. So if I put the X start all the way here to the left, you can see it'll come in from the left and end at 1280, which is the middle of the screen here. So if I click play, starts on the left, ends up in the middle. If I set the X start back to the middle, change the Y to be a little bit below, it'll come up from the bottom. And once again, you have a frequency and decay separate for the position, just so you can really dial in the animation you want and really customize it. Anyways, that's basically it. Hopefully you guys get some good use out of this new Mogrt. And of course, check out my website for more cool stuff. We got a cool text Mogrt. I, of course, have my media bind extension that you guys should go check out if you haven't already. And anyways, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.